Hello, welcome back to Adventures in Pop. This is episode 181, and you are most welcome. In this episode, I want to talk about, a subject I don't think I probably talk enough about, which is about arrangement. I said right at the very beginning of doing these videos that I probably wasn't going to get kind of bogged down into trying to talk to you about compression and EQ and all the technical aspects of production. But arrangement, I think, is a very different story, and I don't talk very much about it. And I think it's a really important aspect, of course, of putting a song together, getting it to sound as good as it can possibly sound, getting it to sound the way it kind of sounds in your head when you're writing it. So I want to talk a little bit about arrangement. And the reason for this is I've just reached the point where I am about to do a kind of a final mix and master of a track that will be a single, then probably the third single from this dance album, which I think is going to be called Might As Well Dance. And this is the title track, actually, called You Might As Well Dance. So just put things in perspective. I've released the first track that was called You Do You. That came out a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, in fact. The follow-up to that is out in 2 weeks' time, mid-September, and that is going to be called The Story Ends. And the third track is going to be this one, which I'm currently just doing a kind of final mix so that I can master it and get it over to DistroKid so that it can be ready for release. I'm guessing sometime in the middle of October. So go and listen to You Do You. That's obviously a must. So I was having a look at it, and I was wondering why I was feeling not that excited about it. I'm being very honest with you. Okay, so I sometimes have confessed that there are tracks that I love more than others. So I guess it's only fair to confess that there are occasionally moments where I'm thinking there are some tracks that I love a little bit less than the others. And I guess this was it. And the reason for that is, let me quickly put it in perspective. The reason is this is a track that's been knocking around for ages and ages. It's had a couple of complete sort of rewrites and re-recordings. And even the version that is going to end up being a single probably was started, a long time ago. And then I certainly remember doing some fairly major surgery to it. So there are parts of it that date back to the first time it was recorded. There are some bits that have been added. So where it is now, and it is, as you might expect, with a title like You Might As Well Dance, it is a kind of a dance type thing. Where we are now is it's turned into something huge. I've just had a look at it, and there are something like 55 lines of music. Now that includes all the singing, all the vocals, all of the guitars, all of the different bits of drum beats and bits of rhythm and extraneous bits of rhythm and just things that only happen once and all of that. But in total, we're talking 55 lines of music, and that really is quite a lot. So as I was going through it today, I was listening to it thinking, yeah, it's okay. It's not really doing it to me, but maybe other people will like it more than I do, etc., etc. This is the kind of thing I tell myself to try and avoid suddenly just having a petulant moment and throwing it in the bin. So I had a look at it and I thought, now what can I do with this? And this is where I think it gets interesting. And this is where I think there probably is some value. If you're, in the same kind of situation as I am, there is some value in having a really good look at it and probably taking a scalpel to your work and being ready to be quite ruthless if you need to be. So I had a look at this and I thought, okay, to give it a bit of zhuzh, maybe I can add some kind of, disco-y rhythm guitar type samples. And so I went off and had a look at those. There are millions of disco-y rhythm guitar type samples. So you could completely swamp your arrangement with a ton of extraneous rhythm guitar-y type things. And I would say, be careful. Make sure you only have the ones that actually add something to your song. And this is maybe the point really, which is I did find a couple of really nice samples, and I thought about putting them on. And I think one of them is probably going to go on, and it'll be added to everything else, to the big sound of this thing. But then when I listened to it really carefully, what I was hearing was things that weren't quite right. Maybe the problem that I was having in not enjoying this track as much as I kind of should do when I'm on the verge of releasing it, was actually there were some mistakes in it. So there was a line of vocals from somewhere, just kind of harmonies that had been bounced from ages ago. I can't really remember when. And they were just wrong. And I looked at them and I thought, maybe they're just in the wrong place. They just need nudging to be put back in the right place and everything would be lovely. And then I thought, what if I just play the whole thing through and silence those and let's pretend they never existed? Is it to the detriment of the track that suddenly those vocals, whatever they were and wherever they were supposed to go, suddenly they've gone? So I silenced it. I muted them, played the track through, and you know what I'm going to say. I mean, basically, I couldn't tell whether they were there or not there. So in that case, I think the golden rule is if it adds nothing, it's just got to go. There's no point cluttering up, filling up your sound with stuff that is either inaudible or, if you can hear it, isn't really adding anything to the general sense of a good track. So I chucked it in. So that went. Then what else I find? There's quite a lot of vocal and there's quite a lot of harmony in choruses and in verses, and it needs to be really in sync. And what I was hearing were words that I was singing just popping out because I sung it too early, too late. I wasn't quite, I just wasn't quite in time. And then at the end of a line where the harmony is supposed to be over here, some of the lines I was singing had gone to the harmony, and one or two had just gone somewhere else. I'm not quite sure what I thought that harmony was, but it wasn't right. So I took one whole chorus and re-recorded it all over again. But in a way, it's really good because I'm not worrying about the whole song. I'm just going to sing those lines in the chorus only, and then the harmonies that go with it, and try and make sure that I'm singing it in such a way that you can't tell that the chorus has been recorded 6 months, 8 months, 10 months later than everything else. But that was really important. So there were some actual errors. There were some lines of music and vocal that just needed to be removed. And then I needed to be much more precise about the way that I was singing various parts of harmonies, so that you didn't have this kind of mess of lots of me popping up at the wrong time and just being slightly out of sync, because there's nothing more annoying, or I would say there's nothing much more amateurish than hearing bits of vocal that are just not sitting together in the right place. So having done that, I started feeling a lot better about the song. I started thinking, oh, actually, this is quite good, really. Okay, so my message is, I would say, when you finish a track, live with it for a while, go back to it and listen to it with new ears. And if there are just little things that maybe a year or two ago you would have just thought, oh, well, it doesn't matter. It does matter. And I think I'm being tougher on myself about the discipline of getting things exactly right. And then the other point is, of course, is as you go through it, Oh, I tell you what there was. There was a line of saxophone that just popped up in various places. And I listened to it and I thought, why did I even think that was a good idea? So that's gone. Then now look, there's also some other brass in this track, and I've kept some, but that particular line of saxophone, which you'll never hear, has gone. And I just think, be ruthless. If it's, as I say, if it's not adding anything, or if you can't even hear that it's there until you turn it up, and then you realise how bad it is, get rid of it. And by getting rid of it, you are creating a bit more space for the things that actually work and that matter in the song to be heard, to stand out, of course. So it's a bit of a win-win all round. So I have added in the end a line or two of funky guitar carefully. But I've taken out quite a lot more than I've put in, and I've certainly tightened up all these vocals so that they're not singing incorrect harmonies and coming in spurious places and just sounding like there's a whole crowd of people singing rather randomly at various points, because that's just a big old mess. And you do want the important parts of the song. You want particularly, the vocals, the lyrics, the beat, particularly if it's a dance song, you want those things to stand out and not to be just hidden in a big soup. So I'm nearly there. I'm now much happier that this track called You Might As Well Dance is actually going to be of a standard that I can be happy with, and actually I will enjoy listening to it, whereas I was beginning to think I will never enjoy listening to this because it just sounds like a big fog, and I've made it too big, too dense, there's too much going on, and I can't see the wood for the trees. There we go. So look, that's my lesson to you. Be ruthless, be really kind of careful about, particularly when it's a track that you've worked on several different occasions. The chances are you're just going to put more and more and more stuff in as you think of it. And sometimes it's really good to take some stuff out. And it's rather like uncluttering your house. I love taking stuff to the tip. Well, it's the same with this. When I can just delete a whole line of music, I don't care how long it took me to put it in there in the first place. If I can just delete it and the song just sounds a bit clearer as a result, I feel good about that. There we go. That's it. Now, listen, one last thing before I go, and that is, well, do subscribe and all those things, because I love subscribers. I've got quite a lot now, and all of you who've subscribed, thank you very, 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 very much indeed. And the other thing, maybe even more important than that, is that coming out on Friday the 30th, which, as I'm speaking to you now, is tomorrow, but when you're seeing this, it'll probably be today, yesterday, or 10 years ago. The first of the new lot of Goldhawk Foxes songs is released. Go back to the previous episode to hear a bit more about it and to actually hear the track. And it's called So Here's to You. It's ever so good. So catch up on that. And as I say, my next single release is out in a couple of weeks' time. That's it. Have a lovely weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Take it easy. Bye-bye.